Hey, deserving listeners, Love is Blind, Season 4, Reunion, live, Netflix. Let's watch.
I generally think that me and Zach weren't right for each other. And I think that when I came into this experience, I felt like I was in a place to find, like I was ready to meet somebody that I want to spend the rest of my life with. And I think that when I went into it, like I came into it thinking, hey, like if there's anybody in there that it doesn't feel right, like I'm cutting it off right away.
She is not helping herself because I think everyone, including Zach, are like, okay, then why did you agree to marry me? Or why did you even act like you were into me in the pods, you know? So she is not, she should lead with, because I think she's eventually going to say, or at least I hope she's eventually going to say, in the pods, I was feeling it with Zach. Out of the pods, no. So I figured I shouldn't just act like it. So, you know, but the way she is not helping herself at this moment.
Like I was in a place to find, like I was ready to meet somebody that I want to spend the rest of my life with. And I think that when I went into it, like I came into it thinking, hey, like if there's anybody in there that it doesn't feel right, like I'm cutting it off right away. So Zach was the last guy that I chose. And I still think he's the best guy. And there's a reason that
What is she saying? I just have to figure she's not wording this right. But if she is saying what it sounds like she's saying, it sounds like she's saying, look, I didn't know who else to choose. And so, I don't know, I just kind of randomly went with Zach. Let's rewind this.
And I think that when I went into it, like I came into it thinking, hey, like if there's anybody in there that it doesn't feel right, like I'm cutting it off right away. So Zach was the last guy that I chose. And I still think he's the best guy. And there's a reason that I chose him.
Yeah.
And I think that like we weren't meant to be, and clearly we can see it from day one from seeing each other.
Okay. She needs to insert, I had feelings for him in the pods. I legitimately wanted to be with him, and I said yes to his proposal because I thought he was the one. Now, maybe that's not true, because that was one of the hypotheses that both Micah and Irina did not intend on going on the show. And I know a lot of people assume this. We can't know, but it's possible that they weren't actually there in good faith. Or they were thinking, well, maybe, but you know, it's not likely to happen. And I certainly don't want to go home empty-handed, so I want to be on the show. So, yeah, fine, Zach. And that kind of sounds like what she's saying, right?
But I still believe to this day, like, this was the best guy that I met on the show. And I meant that, and I came with that intention, but I was going to be true to myself if it wasn't going to work.
Yeah. Doesn't it sound like that? She's saying Zach was the best guy. Okay. So of all the 15 guys, you're saying Zach was but did you actually want to marry him? Were you actually in love with him? Were you actually wanting to be with him? Because, or, you know, we could argue that all of them don't necessarily know for sure if they want to. I mean, you could say that Brett and Tiffany might have known in the pods, but you could say all of them are like, well, I'm pretty sure I want to marry this person, but we'll see how it goes when we meet each other. So, you know, something along those lines. But it sounds like she's saying, well, you know, Zach was the lesser of 15 evils. And so, yeah, but we weren't really made for each other. Then why did you entertain the relationship from the beginning? I'm guessing, I don't know. I figured that she would say, or that it would be true that she had a connection within the pods, but the way she words this, it's kind of looking like the hypothesis, at least is being supported, that she wasn't really on the show to be of the show, you know?
Myself, if it wasn't going to work out, and it didn't, it felt super wrong for me and Zach. And so to sit here and, you know, hear him say that it wasn't true for me, and that's okay, I understand. I completely treated you.
But you're not saying it was true for you. You're saying he was the best guy for you. And maybe that's your phrase that you use to indicate that you did have feelings for him. But you're just saying, you know, it's like you go on a speed dating situation. You're like, well, I didn't really like all of them. But if I had to choose, I guess it'd be Zach. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but yeah.
Treated you so poorly, Zach. And nobody deserves to be treated like that at all. And I like belittled you and made you feel really small. And, you know, I was going through a lot mentally. Does not mean that it's an excuse to do.
So, okay, we're getting back. I want to believe in Irina. I do. Regardless of all the things I've said, I mean, all the things that I've said and wondered are still there. And I've treated clients that have worse behavior than this, way worse behavior than this, and still found a human in there that I could love. Love is a word that therapists don't usually use, but I do, and I know therapists that do. I suppose you could say connection or rapport is often a clinical word, having a working alliance. But to me, when I'm working with clients, particularly clients that I work with long term and I'm really fighting for, there's many different kinds of love, right? You can love your sibling, you can love your friend, you can love a patient in the hospital that you're taking care of, and you can love a client. You can really care about them and have affection for them and think about them and want them to improve, believe in them, and have a very warm feeling towards them. Now, it doesn't extend beyond the hour of therapy every week, but it is a feeling, right? And so I have had that kind of affection and that kind of care, deep care, for clients that were 1,000 times worse in terms of behavior than Irina. I won't go into details, but you can imagine. So it wouldn't be hard for me to have that, and it's not hard for me to have that now for her, even through this television screen. But so it all could be true. It all could be true that I can recognize the horrific behavior in the pods. I can recognize that and feel it and still believe in her and see, or at least hope, that there's good in her and see good in her, see evidence of good in her. I can't know, but so we're returning back to that place where I can return to that for myself. It feels better. And she's saying that she harmed him. And I said this during her Instagram apology. I don't know if I'm just completely off base and no one can relate to me, but to me, she needs to apologize to Amber, like tremendously. To me, Amber's the main person she needs to apologize to, honestly. And Kwame for making fun of him for being hurt at the pool, right, when Micah said the toast. Are there others that she needs to apologize to Micah for hitting on Paul? She needs to apologize to Paul for... Actually, there was a scene... My wife actually pointed out to me that, I won't go to details, but it looked like Paul might have actually been flirting back with Irina in Mexico. I don't know. But anyway, so she's now saying that she treated Zach poorly. And yeah, the things that I pointed out, the calling him names and the way she was standoffish with him. Now, I get it because it's a hard situation. Another possibility for her is like, I was trying to kind of make it work. I was also like pretty sure it wasn't going to work, but I was like, well, maybe I should give it a try. But every time I tried and I was around you, I just couldn't be that way with you. I just didn't want to, just don't feel it with you. And so I was fighting myself and it was coming across as a jerk, and I was being a jerk, but I wasn't just deciding to be a jerk. I don't know. Maybe I just have too much optimism about what she's saying. But anyway, she's apologizing to Zach, which is good.
Yeah. Sorry, I do want to add, I know I'm rambling a little, but I love your guys' relationship. I love seeing it unfold. It was truly one of my favorites, and that might sound cheesy or cringy, but like seeing Zach be so loved by you and seeing the things that I maybe didn't like and seeing you just be in awe of every little thing he did, we believe that I'll hopefully have that for myself too.
Okay. Yeah, often, I mean, it's not a lot that Irina is saying, and it could be just surface level stuff, and if we went into it, we might not be very satisfied. It could go the opposite way, and there could be a lot of depth and a lot of things that we might be able to relate to there. But I will say that given the kinds of time constraints and the limitations to these reality TV shows, or just public apologies in general, as I said with the Instagram apology, and this is even better because it's more elaborate and more spontaneous, I would say that this is one of the best apologies I've ever seen. I can't know if it is sincere. And I want to be clear, the best that I've seen on TV as a public apology. I have certainly seen better apologies in person and said better apologies in person. Not that I'm saying that this one is bad. I'm just saying that good apologies require a lot of elaboration, a lot of self-exploration, a lot of therapy, a lot of work. To me, it's one of the better ones. Again, I can't know if it's sincere, but it has the look of sincerity.
You may want to say something. Do you believe the words that are coming out of her mouth right now, or you still have skepticism? That's up for you to answer. I'm not.
Yeah, you did a lot of things. that hurt a lot of people, including me. You only see 10% of it on the camera. There was so much stuff that happened that was just unbelievable.
Okay. I mean, I believe that. And I'm guessing he knows things beyond what he saw himself, because I'm guessing that Bliss has told him, or at least could have told him, about all the things that Irina had done. So I was wondering about that and figuring that, because for time's sake, and also in terms of what was captured on camera and what was decipherable, because that's the other thing. There could be moments, say Irina does something to Bliss behind the scenes, but the way the footage works out, it's hard to tell the story on camera. So yeah, I believe that it was a lot worse than it was.
If we're real, you went on this show to get famous.
Yeah, maybe he knows more data, but, well, I guess what would be the answer if it's true that they weren't really taking it seriously, which Irina seems to be even indicating herself, as I was talking earlier. So then why else would they go on the show? Yeah, I guess that would be unless you made the case that, no, I wasn't going on to be famous. Also, I wasn't probably thinking I was going to meet anyone. I just was confused, or I was bored, or I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I usually hear these kinds of allegations, and sometimes it seems more likely than others. I think someone like Shake seems more likely. I don't know that, of course, but it had that look to it. And Irina, yeah, I guess that would be the thing. I don't know. If I were there, I would just say something like, well, Irina, you seem like you feel bad about what you did, and it doesn't erase what you did, and you're going to head on a journey right now, and I wish you luck, or something like that. I don't know. And especially with the crowd there, with all their Jerry Springer reactions, it's really gross. I mean, Jerry Springer is the only thing that comes to mind, or those Maury Povich. It just has that, and often they will actually get the crowd in a mood, or they will tell, because if you've ever been in an audience of a TV show, there often is guidance. They'll say, okay, this is when, okay, show me your big laugh. Okay, show me your big clapping. Show me this. And okay, I want you to remember that, because when it happens, I want you to do that. They'll do that because they're trying to mold something. And I wonder if they did it here. I can't know that, of course. And also, if it starts happening and it's not what they want, they can easily just send some ushers down there. I was like, hey, like, let's not go in that direction. Or they could take a break and just be like, hey, everyone, you can certainly react, but let's try to keep it down a little bit, because it seems like that's not the direction we want to go in. I don't know if you would do that, but anyway, the crowd is unpleasant to me. And I think, again, it just plays into this culture of piling on with Irina. And so if Zach wants to say, hey, you really hurt me, which he did, then I think he's entitled to that. But I think accusing her of this is just piling on, especially the way he words it. He could have said, like, look, Irina, I appreciate your apology. I don't know if I forgive you. And you were a lot worse than what was even on camera. And maybe you're also apologizing for that. And I don't know, but it kind of seemed like you just went on the show not in good faith. Just think what Chelsea would say in this situation. What would Chelsea do? WWCD. I don't think Chelsea would word it that way. She would say something, but I don't know if she would just pointedly go after her in this way. But I don't know. Maybe she deserves. Do you think she deserves it? Maybe it'll help her. I guess that would be the hope, is that she's like, oh, that was rough, but I guess I needed to hear that. Maybe in 10 years she'll say, I'm actually really thankful that everyone went after me, because I needed that in order to really realize what was going on. But I don't know. I kind of worry about Irina, honestly. I mean, the people who exhibit these kinds of behaviors, they're not usually standing on solid ground in terms of their personality. So I don't know. I guess I just kind of worry. But I don't know. Then earlier she just seemed to indicate maybe she didn't really fully understand what she did. So maybe she does need to hear this. I don't know. I just don't want anyone to be attacked unfairly, even people who did the attacking in the first place. I just don't. I think there's other ways to resolve this.
Like, I genuinely 100% forgive you, Irina.
I do too. And we've talked about that already.
I really don't hold anything against you, and I know like there's so many people out here that want to attack the cast on this show, and you have no idea. Like everybody who made a mistake on this show, it has been punishment enough for the entire world to see them at their worst.
Takes a turn. This is good, and he's looking at the crowd. That's good. Okay, all right, good. This is good.
We all did something stupid. And so like, I 100% forgive you, Irina. And my last comment, I stand on that. I have receipts, but the only receipt I think the world should see are the ones I posted on my Instagram today. And with that said, I really...
Will they please just usher those people out? What are they doing? Ooh, are you not hearing him? You're literally exhibiting what he's yelling at you about. He's saying, people stop. He's even looking at the crowd. And then he talks about some posts. And by the way, someone sent them to me. I only skimmed, but it was a whole post about his mom, I think. And talking about the history of his mom and some very important moments of his life. I don't think there was much in there about Irina or at all. Actually, let me look at it. Okay, so this is his Instagram today, and it says the receipts. If there's anything you remember about me, this is what I hope you remember. I believe all life is redeemable, and the one thing we all need is grace. Warning, the following story discusses the topic of mental illness and suicide. Okay, so I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's actually pretty long, but you can see here on this first page, he's talking about his mother having a mental illness and addiction that was out of control. And he says, sometimes I would come home and my entire room would be destroyed, clothes all over the place, walls smashed with a hammer. My mom had gone into a manic state and he would avoid going home and she would disappear for days. And so there's he's talking about that. And then he talks about how he would witness his mother fight with her various boyfriends and stepdad, and how the cops would come to the house a lot, how his mother would threaten to kill herself. And then he says that years later when he was in college, his mother had been committed several times, I think, to a psychiatric hospital, and that his mother had lost custody of his little sister. And then he was in church and he heard other people talking about their process of addiction and recovery, and he then learned, I think I now understand what's going on with my mom. Then he went back to his mom and tried to help her. Eventually his mom recovered and got clean and had a bunch of relapses and was committed numerous times, but finally got her medication stabilized. And then he says she spent the rest of her life serving the mentally and physically disabled, and that he and his sister were finally able to have a few normal Christmases with their mom. And then that's it. So that's what he's referring to. And the audience, I think, is thinking that his Instagram post was a blast of... And I'm thinking that the audience thinks that when he refers to receipts on Instagram, that he was blasting or outing Irina in some way. And so that's why they're like, ooh, and it's just like, ugh. All right, well, let's adjourn there. Tune in next time when I continue watching, and everyone, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.